South, dirty, we dirty. Can y'all really feel me? I got baby girl. East Coast feel me. West Coast feel me. Can y'all really feel me? Feel it. East Coast feel me. Say what? West Coast feel me. Dirty South, dirty. Can y'all really feel me?
My fro. Over the past few years, I would say I've kind of gotten down to a science, my little fro routine. I don't wear it out too often, but when I do, this is the routine I like to follow. Now, some of you are probably familiar with, I just recently did a video showing my perm rod curls, and while those curls are cute, I would say I do my best when I do my flexi rods. Those curls, they're just superior. They always come out the way I like. I'm just dividing my hair up right now. In terms of sectioning, I'm not going to do them super big, but not super small. I just kind of eyeballed them. And I guess once you get familiar with braiding and just work with your hair a lot, you kind of know what's too big and too small. But I just tried to take off and break off pieces according to that. And I love this method. Ever since someone suggested it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I'm doing a similar method to the perm rod set where you twist the front half of it and then you put the rod on the second half of it. This is just to keep everything together, to keep it classy and cute. In the past, when I would do these styles, I wouldn't twist at the beginning, and I would find that the hair would just come out really fluffy at the root. I have type 4C hair, so no matter how much it's stretched out or blow dried beforehand, it will fluff back out, hands down, especially if I'm putting product in it, such as mousse. But I do and am a big fan of mousse now. I will be using it for all of my curling needs in the future. So you're probably wondering, okay girl, so what's gonna be the big difference between these curls and the perm rod curls? In my opinion, I just like doing these all over my head. I still will try a perm rod set. The one I did, it was kind of, I'll put a picture on screen, but those ones were in a downward motion, so it was, a lot of the hair was twisted up. With this style, I'm doing more individual curls or pieces, so it'll be a lot more curls and also the hair will look a lot more full. The reason I don't do this style a lot or more because it takes forever. It takes so long, which is fine. I'll usually put on a movie or music or a podcast and just tune out. A couple of hours go by and boom, it's done. But it is just very time consuming, and 9 times out of 10 I have to sleep in these for them to dry properly. I have said it once and I'll say it again, I hate sleeping in flexi rods. It is so uncomfortable. I mean, I've found ways to get around that and make it a little bit more comfortable, but it's not even comfortable having these in my head, honestly. I don't like the feeling of them, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I don't do this too often, but look at the color. I'm gagging. I love looking at my hair from the back because I don't get to too often. So every time I see it on camera, I'm like, oh, there she goes. Same technique I used before, brushing, and that's a big part of it too. In the past, I don't think I was detangling the pieces well enough. So I think that had a big effect on how my curls were turning out and just that they weren't as defined as I wanted them. So I pretty much just worked my way around the middle of my head. I just, again, was eyeballing it in terms of the parting. I'm going to be pulling apart the curls, so I personally wasn't super focused on like, oh, each square needs to be perfect. But I did try to make sure that each piece was around the same size. Also, framing, I talked about this in my last video, but when you have shorter hair, it is, at least for me, it's always like super important that I frame my face and have a bang area, and then I also frame the hairs that are almost brushing or touching my shoulders. You want everything to be stretched out to its true potential, and the ones at the top I'm not as worried about. I even like it if they kind of poke out or go in an upward motion. So this is me when they're all done, and y'all, look at this. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, look at how many flexi rods are in my head, and this isn't even the most I've seen. I've seen girls have like even more than this. It's crazy. But yeah, very uncomfortable. Don't love it. This is me checking back in later. They're finally dry. This is always my favorite part, is taking down the hair. It is so pleasing to take them down, especially when you take them down and they're all dry, which that is one thing I will say. In the past, I always used to work with gels, and the gels take forever to dry. But this, using mousse, let me tell you, mousse just dries so much more quicker. And I did have these in for a while, and it's just so satisfying taking them loose. Favorite part, hands down. And I didn't say it before, but I was using Chai Silk Infusion, just using that to make it look shiny. So the first step is just taking each one loose. As you remember, I twisted up the first half of it, so I'm just going in and untwisting all of those one time each. The key here, people, the key, for me at least, is to have it look full and fluffy without taking too much apart. I've done that so many times in the past where I have unraveled it to the point where it loses its curl, or it doesn't have a shape to it anymore, and it was kind of pointless me even putting the flexi rod in. So I'm just taking my time. And this is me just shaking it out because I love when my hair is movable. But yeah, this is my routine for my little fro. I would definitely wear this more often, but someone's got to find a cure for humidity and heat. And then we'll be set, because really I can only wear this the first day before I have to put it up into a high puff. But it is really cute on day one, and I love it. I'm obsessed. Love it, love it, love it.